Okay, so remember where we left off? Excuse me. Remember where we left off of World War I? Well, this is the World War II video, and the Treaty of Versailles, which ended World War I, left a lot of problems and hurt feelings in Europe. Germany had to pay a lot of money, and they were really down. Japan, Italy, and Germany were not happy at all with the Treaty of Versailles, especially Germany, as they had to take responsibility for the loss. They had to pay all those debts back and everything like that. And everyone was also suffering from the effects of the Great Depression, and many countries turned to new leaders to solve their issues, just like the United States did. We got rid of Herbert Hoover and elected FDR. The same things went for Italy. We got Mussolini, Germany, Hitler. Obviously, those two are huge dictators. The Soviet Union got Stalin, who's a communist leader, and then Japan, Hideki Tojo, is a military leader. And so all these new leaders were kind of tasked with rebuilding the country or getting that country into a new mindset. All right. So obviously, like I said earlier, Mussolini and Hitler were dictators, and Italy and Germany joined forces in 1936 and became known as the Axis. And Japan eventually joined them in 1940, and these became known as the Axis powers. So we're on the brink of war. Italy, Germany, and Japan, they all wanted new territories. They all wanted to gain more land to make their areas, their country stronger. Germany attacked and took over Austria and threatened to do the same to Czechoslovakia. Well, France and the Soviet Union promised that if Czechoslovakia to support them if Germany attacked them. So if Germany threatened to attack them, France and the Soviet Union would support them. This tension put Europe on the brink of war, another full-scale world war involving a ton of countries. And Britain tried to practice appeasement, meaning kind of giving in to Hitler and signing some treaties, if you will, to kind of ease the frustration and the tension, and all in to avoid war. But many feared, including Winston Churchill, who was a leader in Britain's politics at this time, feared Hitler would not even stop despite these appeasement agreements, even though he had promised to do so. Okay, so World War II begins. Just as everybody thought, Hitler had promised not to take Czechoslovakia, but he did so anyway. And in March of 1939, he went in, stormed through Czechoslovakia, took that country, and he now has Austria and Czechoslovakia under his power. And then he said he wanted Poland. Well, when Germany invaded Poland on September 1st, 1939, France and Great Britain declared war on Germany, and World War II had started. So Germany had gone out and attacked Austria, then Czechoslovakia, despite signing appeasement agreements, and then went after Poland, and and Great Britain and France declared war on Germany. Germany used a style of attacking called Blitzkrieg, which is lightning war, and it's a lot of moving quick, throwing bombs, dropping bombs, shooting cannons in and all that stuff, to take Poland, Denmark, Norway, and attack Belgium and the Netherlands as well. So they're going after most of the continent of Europe, which is just absolutely unbelievable. The Germans seemed unstoppable for a really long time, and the French and the British just couldn't stop them despite all they had done. France eventually fell to Germany. They were eventually defeated, and the Soviet Union was attacked. The only reason Germany probably wasn't able to take the Soviet Union is because the Soviet Union was hit with a really bad winter, one of the harshest winters they had in a long time, and the German soldiers just couldn't go anymore, so they kind of retreated back and left the Soviet Union there. But Britain was next on the list. The Germans were coming for them. Britain fought off the German Air Force and were able to hold their ground from Germany, even though Germany was attacking them. And like I said earlier, the Soviet Union had that harsh weather, so the Germany was unable to take them when they were hoping to. So where's the United States in all this? Well, the Neutrality Acts were a series of acts passed by the United States Congress to try to avoid war, to try to keep us out of these wars, which is really why it took so long for the U.S. to get involved in this war. Some examples are limited sales of weapons to aggressive nations, no loans to aggressive countries, especially if they're not paying back the loans we previously had loaned them, limited trade with aggressive nations. So all these things were set up to kind of keep us out of the trouble. If we can just stay out of it, then we don't have to really worry about it. All right, but in 1941, FDR supported a bill that Congress passed called the Lend-Lease Act. All right, and this allowed FDR to send supplies and weapons and equipment to the Allies, Britain, France, stuff like that, Soviet Union. And this Lend-Lease Act, FDR supported. So that was our first step kind of into this war. We supplied close to like $50 billion worth of equipment, I think, or something absurd like that. Don't quote me on that. I might have just made that up. Anyway, All right, so how does the United States get involved? Well, Japan had joined the Axis powers in 1940, and Hideki Tojo had come to power in 1941. Remember I said Hideki Tojo was very militaristic, all right? He had military background, so he was very strong-handed. Tojo wanted to conquer the Dutch East Indies, which is that little area, that trading company where we talked about Britain used back in the colonial time period. But a lot of Japan's leaders felt the U.S. Navy would stand in their way of doing so. So on December 7th, 1941, Japan attacked the American naval fleet at Pearl Harbor in Hawaii. The attack was a complete surprise. Nobody knew it was coming. Everybody was completely caught off guard. 2,400 Americans were killed, soldiers and civilians, so people, normal people and then soldiers. And many planes and ships were damaged or destroyed in this. So it really decimated our naval fleet, and it really took us a while to kind of recover from that. But a lot of the Americans rallied behind that point because FDR called this day a date that will live in infamy. And the Axis powers eventually declared war on the U.S. on December 11th, 1941. And this Pearl Harbor attack was a rallying point for the United States. We all rallied behind FDR to join this war front and really shut down Japan and Germany advancing, and Italy advancing through Europe and the Pacific coast. So that is World War II. We'll talk more in the next video about the home front and how it directly affected America.